especially among fans of Bela Lugosi, how much passion they have and interest they have in your grandfather's career, and which is really, really interesting. It would be interesting to see how Bela, your grandfather, would respond to all this, because he passed away before shock theater hit television and kind of reinvigorated the classic Universal monsters. What do you find with the fans when the fans come up to your table? What are they asking you? What kind of things are you finding out?
Well, my perspective mostly comes from because it's heartbreaking to hear my dad say that his dad told him that he had been forgotten, that he thought he had been forgotten at the end of his life. And so I think that was one of the reasons that my dad and my grandmother decided to have him buried in his cave, just as a tribute to the many, many years that he played the role of Dracula and the icon that they felt he already was, but he felt he had been forgotten. But so knowing that, and then having the opportunity to come and meet with people and go to conventions and feel that love and impact that my grandfather had on people's lives, and young fans are just discovering him now, it's amazing. I don't think he could have ever imagined it.
Absolutely, absolutely, which, I think you would be absolutely amazed by just, the following he has. And I've met all kinds of fans over the years. Some fans are really into Karloff, and some fans are into Cheney Jr. and Cheney Sr. But Bela Lugosi fans, they are diehard fans. They are certainly diehard fans, absolutely. Now, we're seeing a lot more, and it's great to see it, a lot more of Lugosi product coming out. Can you tell us a little bit about that in terms of, getting your grandfather's image out there in various products?
Well, of course, my dad was able to secure the rights to his father's name and likeness through legislation to protect the rights. And he did embark on some licensing early on and worked with Universal, but I don't know, a lot of people don't know that Universal doesn't own any rights to Bela Lugosi's name and likeness other than for the promotion of the film. So nothing for the commercial use. So over the years they have marketed Dracula, a generic Dracula, and we just kept hearing from fans that that wasn't satisfactory, and felt that as much of extending his legacy of doing appearances and just generally protecting the rights was to have a strong licensing program so that there was the officially licensed products with the actual name and likeness on them available to fans. And that has really helped. We've been able to reach a lot more people that way, and a lot of our licensees are friends, because we find that the people who want to do Bela Lugosi products are fans. They have so much passion, so the products always come out the nicest.
Absolutely. I mean, I have one in my own collection, the NECA Bela Lugosi figure that just recently came out. I mean, that is dead on. It's such a wonderful figure.
Right.
I mean, for any collector, you can get that at your table, right?
Yeah, you can. I have to say it was really nice working with the creative team at NECA, and that was a license that Universal licensed that product as well as Lugosi. But the creative team for NECA, they wanted that likeness to be so good. They wanted everything to be perfect, and they worked so hard. And our friend, and many of you know, Kerry Gamble, he really helped with the 3D likeness so that figure came out to be as wonderful as it is.
It really is. Okay, I'm going to open it up to questions. If you have questions out there, we're going to start with this gentleman right here.
Statement of question. Statement is I'm a huge fan of your grandfather's, but after meeting you and Bob here at this monster bash, I'm a big fan of Gulf also.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us and the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you for bearing with me. This is not in my normal day-to-day activity to sit in front of people and talk. I actually prefer everybody coming to the table and chatting, and I had such a nice time speaking with everybody. Thank you. I usually sit in my home office and by myself doing this, and I don't really get to talk to a lot of fans.
You don't sit in front of a crowd on a damn regular basis, okay.
And my question is, anything you can tell us about the new Universal Park in Florida where they're building a monster land? Based on the classic Universal Monster.
Right, there's no like big secrets I can reveal. I just heard recently that they're doing it, that it's happening, that they are doing the classic monsters, but a new interpretation or a modern interpretation. They do, I know. I think they feel they can appeal to maybe a wider, younger audience that way, but they did let me know that they wanted to pay tribute to Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and so we're, in talks about how they can do that.
And include them on the ride.
That would be nice. I'm not sure that's in the plan, but that would be nice.
Well, hopefully Universal will do it right, because, it's just a shame, because they really haven't done very much in terms of marketing the classic monsters over the years. And, I mean, you gotta, they're losing generations that, would otherwise be, I think, fascinated, as we are fascinated by these films. So,
Well, especially
hopefully.
with all the remakes.
Right.
You would, we all always go back to the originals, but that's really when they go back to the originals to market the new releases. So in some ways, that does help, and the remakes do help, generate interest in the originals, but yeah, they could do so much more.
Exactly. Just in terms of keeping those icons alive, so that future generations don't forget. And I mean, it's an incredible tribute to your grandfather. He created such an iconic character. I mean, at least for me, when I hear about Dracula, and there's all kinds of actors who play Dracula, I always think Bela Lugosi. Always. I just And how many times if somebody does it, is imitating Dracula, they do the Hungarian accent, Of course, right? Exactly. Okay, good questions. We got questions out there. Okay, in the back.
Is that going to be both Florida and California, or just one or the other?
I think it's going to be just California.
I have heard.
Oh, wait, Florida. I'm sorry, Florida.
That's a little easier.
Some discussion and nothing official that there might be some kind of an event in Las Vegas.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I don't know, it's a universal, some kind of a permanent event.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it will include.
No. Okay, all the way to the back of the green.
What did you and your dad think of Martin Landau as Bela and Ed Wood?
Yeah, we get that question a lot, and
Yeah.
I think I will not answer that.
Okay.
No, only because I didn't get to meet my grandfather, so the direct comparison to Martin Landau's portrayal to him, I can't speak from personal experience, but my dad has told me that he really appreciated Martin Landau's, interpretation. It was just the script that he was given.
Yeah.
It wasn't a true portrayal of him.
I do remember talking to your dad, and one thing your dad was very explicit about was that, in terms of his father never used that kind of language. He never used, that kind of obscenity, it just was not him. That was what your father said. Okay, questions? Gentleman right here.
Do you have any family history or stories about Bela Lugosi's acting career in Europe before he came to America?
Thank you for asking that. We're right now about to release, in fact, when I go home this week, I'm curating the photos for a re-release of Lugosi, the Man Behind the Cape. This book will be titled Bela Lugosi, the Man Behind the Cape. And it's really a new book. It was originally published in the late 1970s with Robert Kramer as the author, and he's also the author of this book. But in doing that, we've been able to expand the information from that original book to include a lot of detail about his early career. So photos, documents, he had over 200 stage credits in Budapest alone. And so was an accomplished stage actor before coming to the United States.
Oh, yeah, massive career.
That, 23 films between Hungary and Germany.
before he came to this country, exactly.
There's only one that we know surviving clip from a Hungarian film. They had all been destroyed. So the National Film Institute of Budapest, it is on, I think it's on YouTube, there's the clip. The film is titled Struggle for Life.
Okay, young woman in the back, right there.
So, I was wondering if you could perhaps elaborate more details on how your family achieved the license. I know that there was like a long court struggle, but I wasn't sure how your father was able to, I want to know more about how your father achieved the license.
Okay, I'll do my best to summarize, and I might get dates and years. I believe it was 1962, and he was still a law student at USC, University of Southern California, and the attention that Universal was making products with his dad's name and likeness as Dracula. And one of his professors said, his law professor said, no, they can't do that. And so he brought the case Lugosi versus Universal, and it was actually in the courts for almost 16 years. They won in the lower courts, but it was overturned in the higher courts of California. And the lower courts decided and agreed that Bela's owned his interpretation as Dracula. He had created it on the stage and brought it to the film, and it was not heavy, he didn't have heavy makeup, it was just him. And so the upper courts, even though they lost, my dad lost, they didn't disagree with the lower court's ruling. They agreed that Bela Lugosi owned that right to his interpretation of Dracula. The problem was that there was no precedent in law for a deceased celebrity's name and likeness to be a property right that you could pass to your heirs. And so after that ruling, my dad and other people petitioned the California state legislature, and then eventually in 1981, the California Celebrity Rights Act was passed, and that made your deceased actor's name and likeness a property right that you could pass to your heirs or to a trust or someone you designate. And really now it's coming back into play, and that is a landmark case because with AI, with all this, being able to recreate. So there are celebrities now writing into their wills and their trusts whether or not they want to be recreated, or if they can, or that those interpretations are included in their rights.
Did you, and I think this is correct, that your father also did work, protecting the rights of the heirs of the Three Stooges.
He did. He represented one of the families of the Three Stooges. Yeah, and that was actually after starting licensing Bela Lugosi. That was a big case in that it determined there was the Three Stooges case where an artist had done like a caricature of the Three Stooges, and the Three Stooges families felt that was,
Right, yeah.
an illegal use of the likeness. And so what that case did is it established a scale of how close something can be in a piece of art or a caricature before it becomes a use that requires a license.
Right, yeah, excellent,
Freedom of speech.
Right, and, basically to, prevent companies from just, inserting these kind of, Three Stooges or your father's image or whose ever image into a product and, selling God knows what, so. Okay, questions on the aisle, right here.
Hi, getting back to the biography that you're working on, over the years, has there been ever talks or discussions of a biopic of your grandfather's life?
Good question. Well, fortunately, we've retained the film rights to the biography, which is basically a screenplay, the way it's written. And so I'm very hopeful. I've had a lot of interest, especially lately, in doing something. So I can't promise anything, but I really, really hope that there's a project. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Okay, questions? Okay, gentlemen, right over here.
Hi, Lynn. This is not a question, but it's just kind of a brief reminiscence of my wife and I. My question's sleeping. at the FM convention in Arlington, Virginia.
Yes.
That was the first big convention our children and my wife and I went to. And it was all larger than life, seeing all these people in person and meeting them. And your dad was one of them. But I remember one morning at the hotel restaurant, we're sitting there having breakfast, our little family here, my son and daughter, wife. And right way across was Sarah Karloff and your dad having their breakfast. And of course, we're sitting there and trying to be inconspicuous. And they noticed us. And Sarah and him both nodded and stuff, and we thought, wow, that's great, you know. Well, they get done with breakfast, they come over to our table. And your dad and Sarah both inquired, would our children like to have their pictures taken with them, so that they have a picture to show and tell to their friends at school and stuff. Why? What were you gonna say? Anyway, the silly part, yeah, we got a couple nice pictures, beautiful with our kids. The silly part was, and this, I still think of this to this day, we get up from our table after your dad had left, and we're going around and we walk past their table, it hadn't been cleaned yet, and your dad's partially eaten pancake is still there. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if nobody was looking, I'd seal this thing up.
Reminds me of a story. I think the first time that your dad came to Monster Dash, I picked him up from the airport. I was taking him back to the airport, and I was with another guy. And we were both, actually, at the time I was living in Connecticut. I hadn't moved to Pennsylvania yet. The other guy was from Florida. And we're driving along, your dad's like, oh, we got time, let's stop and let's go to Pittsburgh. And neither one of us knew Pittsburgh, and it was like, no, Bela, no, we're not gonna get off. And he was a little disappointed with that. It was like, you know, and if anybody who's ever been to Pittsburgh, if you don't know Pittsburgh, if you take a wrong turn, God help you.
He's probably looking for a good restaurant.
He might have been.
Dad's all about the food.
Oh, yeah, he might have been, so. Okay, questions? In the back, right there, yep.
Me?
Yes.
Wow, thanks. So first of all, thank you so much for your time. You were so kind to give my daughter autographs, and I really appreciate that.
Of course, they're the new generation of fans.
Right, that's what we gotta encourage that. We have to encourage that.
So I have just two quick questions that are kind of related. My first question is, do you have a favorite film of your grandfather's? And do you have any film that you wish he would have made?
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I never thought about the film I wished he would have made. I think I wish he would have gotten to make films that he chose to make. I know at one point he wanted to start his own production company because he was frustrated with the roles he was being offered. And so he and my grandmother thought up the name of it. It was just, and started to try to accumulate scripts that he could do, but it never came to fruition. So I guess that's what he could have been able to do that. But as far as films, so I think we talked about this a little bit. I feel, like I repeat myself, but I really enjoyed White Zombie. I just, the atmosphere, and I guess also I first watched it knowing that my dad had told me that his dad really enjoyed directing some of the scenes. And so I looked at it from that perspective too. And then Black Cat, and then recently rewatching The Raven, that film really impressed me, its acting and evilness and creepiness.
I remember your dad saying, of course, Dracula, and he made that iconic, but another role that Bela, your grandfather, enjoyed so much was Igor.
Oh,
He
yes.
really enjoyed playing Igor, and you can tell. And at least in my opinion, I think, and originally his part in Son of Frankenstein was minuscule. It was not going to. And the director kept him on, kept giving him more to do in the movie. And he runs away with the movie. He's probably the most interesting character in the whole movie. Igor steals the movie, in my opinion at least. But and like your dad said, he really enjoyed playing Igor. It was such a contrast to the refined Dracula. It just showed the actor's range. He had wonderful range.
Yeah, I always have to say, I should have said it, that aside from Dracula, on the favorite films, that one has to stay.
he was phenomenal. Questions on the aisle, right here.
Actually, you just said something I did not know. Maybe you can explain a bit more about it, that Bela Lugosi helped direct White Zombie?
That is what
I did not know that.
my dad has told me, that his dad told him, that that movie ends quite abruptly. It looks like there should have been more. Whatever the production difficulties were, Bela said he directed some of the scenes and he really enjoyed doing them. When he came to the United States, he directed and produced and acted in Hungarian plays, so he was proficient at doing that and enjoyed doing it.
Right over here.
Since your dad is into food, did he prepare Hungarian dishes? Also, did he drink, Bela's favorite wine was called bull's blood? I don't remember that Hungarian. That's my.
Well, for me, growing up, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and she was at our house all the time, and she was the cook, really, her and her sister, they would cook for my grandfather, Bela. So, yes, I did grow up with stuffed cabbage and duck and rice. I don't know if that's truly a Hungarian thing, but that's one of the things she made. I'm not a big meat eater, so even back then, it wasn't not something that was my thing, but my dad loves it.
And bull's blood?
Yeah, my grandfather truly did drink that.
I mean, your father.
Oh, my father? Oh, yeah, we had it, but he enjoyed other wines as well. Yeah, my grandfather and grandmother, it's funny because Dracula never drinks wine.
So he said.
That's so he said. But one of the ways they passed time and they enjoyed to spend time together was wine tasting, and they would buy different bottles of wine, and they would line it up and do blind tastes, and so that was something they did together. Yeah.
Okay, questions? Young person right over here.
So I want to make a picture that's like every Frankenstein actor ever, and I heard that Bela Lugosi played Frankenstein in Frankenstein versus the Wolfman.
That's
Is that
right.
true?
That is
Okay,
absolutely
I
true.
just want to know.
And you know what's interesting about that, and some of the people in the audience know, but you might not know that he played Igor in 2 films, but in the second film, Ghost of Frankenstein, Igor's
Brain
brain
is
gets
tricked,
put
yeah.
into the monster. And so he was looking forward to playing the monster with some speaking roles.
Right.
And those roles, those lines that unfortunately
Got cut.
cut
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I also heard that that for Frankenstein they originally wanted Bela Lugosi to play Frankenstein.
Yeah, he was offered the role, right? Bela was offered the role of Frankenstein. He really wasn't interested because he thought it was like a glorified scarecrow.
Yeah, and I think the greater disappointment was that he was offered and sent a script for him as the role of Dr. Frankenstein. And so he would really could create even he could do such a great job with the
Right.
character Frankenstein. And so when Universal changed from Robert Florey to
Whale.
they just recast him as the monster.
Mm-hmm.
There is an advertisement, I'm sure a lot of you have seen from the press book or early advertising for Frankenstein featuring Bela Lugosi.
Right.
He never, after the test makeup, and having no lines, he just didn't feel it was a part for him.
Exactly.
In hindsight, big mistake, and I think my grandmother felt that too, but,
Yeah.
he stuck, one thing he did is he really stuck to what he believed in, for good or bad for his career, he did.
That's right. Okay, right here. Go ahead.
Yes, your grandfather was one of the first celebrities that first openly about his struggle with substance addiction. And I'm wondering if you have any stories about, how that changed, how you felt about it. Was it easier for other people after you had to come forward to hear these stories about people who were affected by that?
No, I think, from notes that people wrote him during the
is, I mean, as, from what I understand, your grandfather had terrible sciatica. And, I mean, you know, back then there wasn't much treatment, for sciatica, and, you know, they used morphine, and, you know, I mean, very incredibly addictive, so, you know, that is very, very tragic, you know, that happened, but once again, it was, you know, if anybody's ever dealt with sciatica, I can tell you, it's no fun. It's a horrible thing to go through,
Right,
so.
and I don't know, a lot of you know, he was actually wounded 3 times. He was fighting in the Hungarian, with the Hungarian army on the Russian front, so he went through some stuff.
Okay, questions? How about right here?
Have you been to Hungary? Have you been
I
to-
haven't, I'm so excited to be able to go. I'm hoping that, you know, with the book coming out, that we get to go and do some publicity there, and I get to see all these places that I have photographs of in the book. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
We got time for one more question.
Away from the Russian front.
Yeah, I won't go there.
One more question, all the way in the back.
It's known that your grandfather was one of the early members of the Screen Actors Guild. Has your father ever mentioned any stories from him?
No, I just, you know, through researching and reading my grandmother's interviews, you know, a lot of people say, why was he, if he was in on the ground floor, why was he number 28, which is still a very early number. But I think that she tells the story. My grandfather never drove, so early in their relationship, she would drive him to whoever's garage everybody was meeting in for these first meetings. And so she absolutely knows that he was there at the very beginning. I think there was probably some hesitation. We're assuming that, you know, he had to flee Hungary because of the political situation there. A lot of reasons behind that was his activism and forming the trade actors unions there. So he might have been a little bit hesitant in trying to make a career in Hollywood to go up against the studios and potentially take a risk at that. But I think that it didn't take long, maybe just a few days before he said, okay, sign me up. Put my name on number 28.
There you go. Okay, well, actually, we have a brief presentation. Ursula, Mrs. Monsubash has for you.
Amazing, thank you. Okay.
And once again, we want to thank the Green Press. Let's give a round of applause. Absolutely. Go ahead.
For those of you that have come over to our table, you've met my husband Bob, and I just have to kind of give him a shout out because he's supported me through all of this. He's my roadie and my booth buddy.
That's great. Thank you so much.